Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Cam Rao, titled Chasing. And if we switch over to here, we actually have ourselves a short on the screen here. I'm checking out this today. I think the song is included if I'm not mistaken, but we're going to listen through it from start to finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Let's do it, let's go.
Do you do this in New York often?
I would say so.
It's funny, my friend texted me saying he was with you, and he's like, do you know him? And I was like, I don't, but he should join for dinner. I'm excited. and then he was like, no, you've seen this guy.
Hey, wait, so I'm not invited?
Dude,
The hell?
I actually got takeout.
Oh, well, what kind of music do you listen to?
Anywhere from like Rex Orange County, Omar Apollo, Daniel Caesar, Dominic Fike.
Slow it down. Okay.
It's pretty amazing you can do guitars via keys nowadays, eh?
I wanna know what you're doing. Everybody finds you confusing, but that can't be true. Is it just me and not you? You gotta move like you're chasing. Got my left foot on the pavement. It's you that I'm waiting on, and that's fine. You don't wanna stop for a little while. Been missing you for a little bit of time. See you in my left eye when you're walking by. I don't wanna know if you'll ever be mine. No, no, don't wanna know if you're gonna try. Wanna see what you're losing. I just wanna see you, better choose me. I wanna be me for a little bit. Wanna be me. I gotta move like I'm
Right, use of the echo on that vocal then at the end.
on the pavement. Gotta be patient, and that's fine. You in my eyes for a little while. I gotta move like.
Okay, that was it. That was the short. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. And so welcome to the conclusion of my review of this part of this track from an act named Cam Rao, titled Chasing. I think the whole song is available on digital streaming platforms now, released as of Monday, September the 8th. What is this track about? I think this is about Cam discussing the relationship they have with another, how they're constantly chasing or waiting on each other, the push-pull, how their life is confusing, the extra sort of like outside people sort of commenting on their situation. And yeah, I think the kind of push-pull of the dynamic that they have within that situation. So I feel like it's fairly easy to follow along to. One of the things that works really well within this track is the inherent smoothness, as per what the video is saying, of the track itself. I think that there's something really satisfying about someone who has solid vocal technique that can sort of like capitulate to the needs of the composition around them and sort of explore their range, go into their head voice occasionally, sort of show diversity with the melodies. But also, I think the R&B stylings make it a bit more sort of expressive. You know, like there's the legato sort of feel to some of those words, alternating with staccatos. And yeah, I mean, there's some interesting sort of harmonies within the extensions there that are really sort of well put together by the dude with all those sort of like interesting instruments doing the streaming, I suppose. But ultimately just really well performed, I think, especially in a live environment. Good stuff. I think also it's testament to how far we've come using technology that we can have someone walk around the streets and kind of put that stuff together like that within a track. It also kind of like gives you a glimpse into how the meal is prepared. You know what I mean? Having a producer work with a streamer like this towards doing a song live like this, it's kind of intriguing. I think that the way that it's put together, you know, layering the different sort of drum, bass, percussion parts, synths, pads, etc. is one by one. In fact, we had the guitarists first off that I commented on there. Just a unique sort of tone to them. Part of what makes music intriguing is having different interesting tones to the individual ingredients while still so niche and amalgamating them in a mix so that they match and it works. I think when he was talking to the guy about the different styles he liked earlier on, there was clearly the dude sort of picking up a focus for what he was going for there. You know, their drum beat though, like the use of the eighths and quarters and stuff like that, you know, like a strong kind of movement forward there. It's just the lush nature of the different layers within the instrumental backing was really compelling. And there was sort of like sub-layers in the background and the sides of the stereo field as well, which are kind of fluffy and left you feel like you're in a dreamlike state. And to be able to sort of have the foresight and the acumen to be able to layer those things in real time if it's a live situation is impressive there to go, you know, like to know the specific organ tone with the vibrato there, to have that kind of wobble and kind of get people into it is great. To have the understanding of jazz sort of extensions there to sort of like implicate a sense of emotional complexity to it is really sort of like key. And this is interesting sort of like production decisions as well, which we'll talk about in a moment, but just like instrumentally really compelling. And just as a closing comment, I think the funkiness to the bass adds a kind of like sexiness to it, inherent to the style of music. So ultimately, I think so far it's the vocal styles which are really effective, but also the way that we both chose the instrumental layers as well as how they were niched and sort of like developed and put in the track and different features there. It never felt overwhelming. It wasn't like a pyramid or a staircase. I think ultimately like the layering of different elements as well as the fact the guy coming in with the different parts on the mic as well, just production wise, I'm really happy with the post-production. It sounds commercial grade, which is an interesting contrast to when they were first talking and you couldn't kind of really hear one of the people in the video very well. It almost sounds like it could just be like a studio commercial grade ready track, which I think is kind of impressive. You know, there were no issues with the vocal performance. Like, it's an interesting microphone the guy has there. I'm really impressed with the audio quality of that. And the way that guitars, bass, drums are not only like written and layered, but also the way that they kind of sit in the stereo field, as I mentioned, as well as the frequency spectrum with no resonant frequencies, the fact that there is dynamic range, the fact that there was automation and like filtering of different instruments in terms of their intensities across that spectrum, but also the fact that it's nice and low without pumping with adequate sort of like side chaining of those percussive components in the low end, as well as the sub layering again of some of those lighter fluffier textures makes this a really interesting listen even in the short term, and I'm glad I had a chance to listen through it. So thank you very much for watching my review, my listen through I suppose of this song from Cam Rao titled Chasing, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias and the various digital stream platforms. Stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.